Most of you know me. Some of you had a little fight with me once in a while, right, Chuck? And that's all right too, because there's a lot of things going on in this election process this time. A lot of things need to be said. But my wife's passing out something to you that I worked on to try to make it very simple and very easy for you to understand. And on the front side, it says this. You want somebody different? You want somebody different what you got in there? And you know something? I had a Democrat tell me the other night, Don, we are going to all steal that phrase because we all want something different. Well, that's exactly what I am. I'm an innovator, not a duplicator. I come up with new ideas and different things, and a lot of them get tried, some of them don't, and a lot of them get shot down because the establishment doesn't know that they know that it'll work. And there is a move of front in Buncombe County to keep me from being right on anything, which I've been fighting, Joe, ever since 1996 when the county let me go as a waste reduction specialist, when I found a company in Calpin, South Carolina, 60 miles from Asheville, that would buy every ounce of paper we're burying in our landfill. That's not, you see these little things where they recycle this pretty white paper and all that stuff. That's all a bunch of garbage. They'll take anything made out of wood fiber. Newspapers, tissue boxes, cereal boxes, toilet paper, towel rolls, anything made out of paper would be bought rather than buried in the landfill. Now, there's only one problem with that, folks. When you're in the business of government to make money, and if you look at that sheet right there, you will see what Buncombe County's budget's done since 2000, from $199 million to $305 million in this year. And if you look at that sheet, and these are actual facts, I can give you individual budgets. If you take Buncombe County, City of Asheville, Buncombe County Schools, Asheville City Schools, Department of Social Services, you got over $1 billion with a B dollars. Okay? Over $1 billion. Now, if you took all of that paper and you sold it, you know what you'd do to Buncombe County's landfill? You'd reduce their revenue by about 40%. And when you're in the business of collecting money from the landfill and saying you're operating an enterprise fund when you're not, and it's paying for pet projects, you don't want to cut it. Folks, I'm an environmentalist of the worst kind. You can recycle and make it pay. You can do the right thing and make it pay. And when I set up that recycling program, Joe, in the health department, that's the one place a lot of paper came in contact with bodies, right? So you couldn't recycle it. We still were getting about 60% of the trash out of the health department was recyclable. Now, how do I know that? Because I set up a system to pull it out, and we weighed it every morning. We weighed the trash. And I went through the trash, and I found employees of Buncombe County dumping their trash in the trash dumpsters in the county. So you, as taxpayers, were paying for their trash. And at a staff meeting that Wanda Green was overseeing, it got brought up because I printed up a list of everybody's names I found in the trash can. And they asked the question, well, how in the world does that dumb fool know what was going on? You know how? I climbed in the dumpster, I opened up the trash, and I looked. That's what I am. That's the type of person I am. Dumpster diving. Because bottom line is, folks, the truth is we are in trouble in Buncombe County. Our budget is very, very exorbitant. Zoning. We talk about zoning and we talk about annexation. Let's look at annexation a minute. Everybody that lives in the city, every time the county zones, it's like saying, well, I've got a Ford Explorer. It's got 190,000 miles on it. Gas is going to $3.50 a gallon. I'm going to buy me a Ford Expedition. It is, folks. Because every time they zone, their density goes down. Their density goes down. Number of houses per acre. And guess what determines the cost of delivering services to every house? Police protection, fire protection, everything. Density. So every time they zone, that's one of the reasons the people in Asheville, and a lot of them in the neighborhoods where common folk live, voted against zoning. Because they were smart enough to see that when you start telling people what to do on their property, you're driving the cost of real estate up. And nobody's willing to address that. Now, Holly Jones, when she spoke at the Citizens for Change meeting, said, I'm all for affordable housing. I followed her outside because I didn't want to ask her this question in public, but here I am now asking it, and it's going to be on TV. I said, Holly, how can you say you're for affordable housing when you don't have a mobile home one in the city limits of Asheville? Now, folks, they've got single-wide mobile homes with vinyl siding and shingle roofs for $30,000. Even $70,000 for a lot to put it on gives you a $110,000 house, which is a darn sight better than a $300,000 house. So she said, well, I don't know. I guarantee you what they'll have to do. We'll have to study it. You don't have to study this stuff, folks. The numbers are already there. The facts are there. We know it. But what's happening? Well, what's happening is you and the people that's watching this thing tonight are fat and happy. Until the county knocks on their door and says, hey, you got to get that junk off your front porch. Or until the county knocks on your door and says, look, you got to move that car out front. Or look, you can't do that or you can't do the other. And everybody swells up and says, man, it's my land and I have a right to do what I want to on it. Folks, you have no rights anymore on your land. They're gone. Private property rights is essential to the free enterprise system. It's essential to our lifestyle. Now, a good friend of mine by the name of Chad Nesbitt. Oh, I mentioned his name. Some people don't like him, but that's fine. He told me one time, he said, well, I can do whatever I want to my property. I said, Chad, no, you can't. What about your neighbor that caused all that water to wash down you? Didn't that make you mad? He said, well, I can do anything I want to within limits. That's the problem, those limits. And Joe, Mike, that's the problem. People come to you wanting you to determine those limits. And nobody puts it back on them and says, okay, what limits do you want on you? Because everybody wants to tell their neighbor what to do as long as it's what they want. And now we've come full circle what this country is all about. This country is not a democracy. And I was tickled to death today when I heard Sabo from UNCA make that comment on the Matt Mattan show. A lot of things about Matt Mattan I don't like, but that was a good comment. Because Sabo said we are a republic, not a democracy. And see, there are some things, yes, that the people should decide. But what our county commissioners do, and they do this, and they do it in the city council, Joe, they only decide the things that they shouldn't decide, and then the real hard decisions, they give it to the people. They don't make the hard decisions. They don't put the facts out there, even before the people decide. And in a democracy, if 51 out of 100 vote for it, then it happens, right? And that makes you real happy if you're one of those 51. But if you're one of those 49, it sucks. Plain and simple. And we have got to look at our constitutional rights. Now, I'm going to tell you a story, and I'm going to wrap it up. If you look at what I proposed in 2000, the first time I ever ran for county commissioner, I proposed open government. I proposed televising public comment. I proposed that you get TV involved in filming all of your planning and zoning board meetings, your animal control board meetings, your soil and erosion control board meetings. We've got 3 channels in Buncombe County, and one of the channels gets a whole lot more money than the other channel. The county channel gets, what, $500,000, and URTV gets like $200,000. Folks, there's enough airspace up there for us to be able to turn that TV on and see your government in action, but they don't want to see you. They don't want you to see what you're doing. You need to see them throw people out of meetings when they say you can't come in. You need to see what they do and how they walk in. They've already got the decisions made. And how many of you in here have started going to county commissioner meetings? If you go to county commissioner meetings consistently, most of you get sick and tired and don't go anymore. If you go consistently, after about 4 months, you don't even have to go to tell what happened. And yet they'll say, well, we don't decide anything behind closed doors. That was my #1 proposal in 2000 when I ran. So if I changed since 2000, you bet your sweet bippy I've changed since 2000. I've got meaner, more determined, and able to fight a little bit better.